It is a case that shocked the Spring community. One of their own accused of hatching a plot to have her husband killed.
41-year-old Ramonsosa was sentenced to 20 years in state prison with time served for hiring an undercover agent to kill her husband. As part of a deal, Sosa pleaded guilty to the lesser crime of solicitation of second-degree murder. Sosa planned out the murder for hire plot last year. She promised the agent $2,000 and her husband's truck once the job was done. Her husband, Ramon, spoke out in court and said he and his wife were going through a divorce and everything would be split down the middle. But it wasn't good enough. She wanted him dead, all for the greed of money.
Know this, introducing the original Blood Clot podcast, not players. Soothing semantic, special dedication, all the way from New York. Boom! Yeah man, SWOT semantic. Yeah me now. Boom! Soothing semantic. Yeah me now. Big ups to the man now. Soothing semantic.
Welcome to the Soothing Semantics podcast. I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment. Definitely make sure to leave your comments in this episode because it's going to get interesting. So today, without further ado, I have a very, very special guest by the name of Ramonsosa. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the episode, Ramon. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me on your show, man. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I recently came across a video on Vice, and the video is titled, "My Wife Hired a Hitman and I Faked My Death." And when I saw that I had to click on it, it was about an 8-minute video. And I watched, as I'm watching the video, my mouth is pretty much wide open the entire time. And long story short, I mean, we'll let you kind of go through the whole story, obviously. But Ramon has been a boxer since since you were a kid, if I'm not mistaken, and you owned a boxing gym.
Correct.
You met a woman, beautiful woman, and you got married, and she ended up trying to hire a hitman to kill you.
¿Qué pasó, Lulu? Nah, pues nomás ellos, bueno, con lo que usted ofreció, pues de perdido saben que todavía está en serio que quiere que lo maten, todo está bien.
Sí. No, sí, definitivo. O sea, de que se lo echen, que se lo echen. No vale madre, eso, ¿no? Y de que les voy a pagar.
And you got wind of it through a friend, and you, thank God, ended up getting, you got the news before it was too late, and you were able to put her behind bars. So as crazy as that sounds, absolutely insane. You're probably at 10 million now on those views, are you? Or close to it?
Yeah, it has been crazy how much my story has been viewed all over the world. This thing happened back in 2015, and it's still relevant, very relevant to this day. I've done been on all the major crime shows, and I've been interviewed all over the world, and people still are like you say, it's a jaw-dropping experience. They're like, what? She did what? And it's just, but at the end of the day, this is a message behind my story that I like to share with people. And when they hear my message, is just very, heartwarming to them that, I'm doing something about what happened to me. I'm doing something with it, with what happened to me.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to hear what you're doing with it. Share with everyone listening the actual story of what happened.
Well, I had met Lulu. Well, her real name is Maria. Back, before marriage with Dorantes. Back in 2009, I think it was. We met at a local dance club here in Houston, actually in the Woodlands, which is a community north of Houston, Woodlands, Texas. And we met. It was a wonderful evening of dancing salsa, and she was a beautiful lady. We started dating. Right after that, we started dating. She told me her story, how she came here to this country from a previous marriage in Mexico City. Her ex-husband she claimed that he was very abusive to her, and they had 2 kids together, and he was also, according to her, abusive to the kids. So she moved here looking for a better life for herself and her kids. And that's why I came along. and we met. And at the time when she was here on what you call it's called a visitor's visa. But she was here legally, but on a visitor's visa. Then with that visa, you actually can't work legally. But she, the way she maintained herself and got around from getting, with that law, it was, working on the ground. She cleaned houses. She was also in masseuse, and she did getting paid cash basically. So she had it rough at the beginning, but she was able to stay here and do her thing and got along. My family loved her at the beginning, but she got along with my kids, and so it was a wonderful beginning, but things changed.
You saw no signs of that initially, because you did mention in the documentary that there were a lot of red flags that you kind of didn't notice before. So like when you first started dating, were there very apparent signs that you just chose to ignore because of the good parts of the relationship?
Not really. The only thing that I noticed at the beginning of our relationship was that, her son at the time, he was probably a young teenager. I would probably say 12 or, the young teenage age. And he had issues with education, issues with, the way he talked to his mother. And they would go in this back and forth arguments. And I would try to tell her, I pull her to the side, I said, look, he needs to understand that you're the mother, and, you can't be talking to him like that. Just put your foot down and it is what it is. What you say needs to go, and that's it. So I noticed that there was a lot of back and forth with the young man, and I understood, and I tried to pull him to the side too, knowing that I was coming into the family. Basically, we were not married, but we were dating, and I was around them all the time. But he definitely had issues with following, rules and doing the right thing. So, but yeah, the argument going back and forth was I didn't like that at all. Like she didn't have control over or the young man. And later on, it became a problem with me too.
Okay, and going forward, because you were telling me before I interjected, when did things start to go awry, as they say?
Well, it was great. Our relationship when we were dating, we decided, I proposed to her about a year and a half later, after dating, and it was kind of like one of those things, where I felt like I was in a space in my life where I just need to settle down. I've been divorced for over 10 years. So I thought she was a perfect person. We had a lot in common, and, I proposed to her, and she started crying, and, we got married. Another red flag was like, right after I proposed to her, she was like getting ready. She said, we got to hurry up and get married. There was no such thing as there was celebration. She wanted to go like the following week or the next one, not this one, but, she was like, let's do this as quick as possible. And, in hindsight, basically what she was doing was she wanted to get her papers here to be legal as soon as possible. Because she was tired of being on that visa. Every 6 months she had to go back to Mexico and renew it and all that stuff. So she wanted to be, here legally. So that was another red flag right there. So the first 3 years were wonderful, man. She treated me well. She would just give me manicure, pedicure, massages, it was always wonderful to me and my family. And, it was great the first 3 years. She got her green card legally, and her kids got a green card because of me. So things were good. Things were really good at the beginning. Like I said, the first, what they call honeymoon years, the first 3 years of our marriage.
And you really didn't see anything out of the ordinary during those times, just giving nice, sweet everything?
Not really, her, and then I'm not information, but the mother at our wedding, that was I think this is this crazy.
You told me that, yeah, I saw this.
Yeah.
But tell everybody.
Yeah, it was at our wedding. We had a small celebration, but nothing big. Right after we got married at the courthouse, and then we had a little celebration at our home celebration, afterwards. But at the actual ceremony, after we got married, we came out, and the mother hugs me. And she just whispers in my ear, "Now she's your trouble," and then walks away. Bro, I mean, how I think about it like, what the hell is, and I was, your emotions and everything. I was so happy, and I was, things happen, whatever, and I didn't really think much of it. But
that would shock me. Meaning, if I
yeah,
think everything is fine and dandy and she loves me and everything's great and she's doing all these things for me, and then her own mother walks over to you,
yeah,
it's kind of like it's out of a horror movie. You know,
exactly.
like that's how all these horror movies are. Everything is so spectacular, even though they always seem to move into this old house from the 1800s in middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
But as if there are no ghosts or anything, nothing's haunted. But
right.
it's like everything's fine up until her own mother whispers this phrase, this one sentence into your ear. What was your thought after she said that? Did you kind of just throw it away, or you?
Yeah, I kind of just, I didn't think much of it, because prior to that, I had met with her mother. We had, spent time together, done things together with the family and all this
Okay.
stuff. So it was like, I didn't really think much of it.
Maybe you
I don't
thought
know
she
if
was
she was,
joking, like she was saying it in a
yeah,
funny
kind
way.
of, yeah. And it kind of came up across that way that maybe it was a joke or something. I just like kind of didn't think much of it. And of course, at that time we were all celebrating and we had a big, well, actually not a big, we had a, friend little gathering at the house with music and food and everything. So the subject never came up. The subject never came up, and so I never thought nothing of it. But I guess the mother was trying to tell me right there, right off the bat, you better watch out with this. You better watch
Yeah,
out with this.
her mom was probably like, well, my daughter scored. My daughter got a really nice, genuine guy, and I really hope he knows what she's all about, because
Yeah,
yeah, her mom, it seemed like her mom like had good intentions. She was looking out for you. She was like,
yeah,
listen, if you love my daughter and you want to do this, go ahead, but just
yeah,
you might want to, you know, heed my advice
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So in hindsight, yeah, it was something that I should have just from the beginning known that, hey man, what's your mom talking about? But like I said, I never brought it up. And then we, after like I said, we after about 3 years, we're married. There started little cracks here and there. We started to pop up, but it all started like I said previously with her son. The young man was a little older now. He was having a lot of issues at school, bad grades, getting in trouble in school, and I was the one that was always, taking up for him, going to the school and talk to the principal and all that stuff, and the mother appreciated, my wife Lulu at the time, she appreciated that and knew that I was trying to help the young man out, and I didn't have any issues, I was just trying to be a father figure to him because according to his mother, that's what she said. He's never had a real father figure, never had somebody, a man, really sit down other than his uncle. He looked up at his uncle, and he had an uncle that he lived here at the time, and he kind of, listened to him a lot. But since I was in the family now, and we were all living under the same roof, he didn't like that I was, the man, putting down my foot, and this is how we was going to run the house now. And he kind of had issues with that, even though I never, ever, ever put a hand on that young man. I mean, I talked to him firm, but there was a reason why. I said, I even told him, I said, look, you know how many kids that are here that come from Mexico would love to be in the same position you're in right now, or have the opportunity to be in the position you're in right now. I mean, you're here legally in this country. You go to the best schools. You have a nice roof over your head. I treat you guys, well, very, very well, and you still not doing the right thing. Just do the right thing. Go to school, do your homework, take care of the house. The little chores that we make him do. He always had issues with everything. But in the back of my mind, I kind of understood where he was coming from, so why he did it, what he was like that. But then again, when it was the same problem over and over and over, and then the mother in another, they started taking up for him. That's when it got really bad. When we had issues where I tried to discipline the young man, and then the mother got in the middle, was like, don't talk to him like that. He don't. I say, wait a second,
So she was enabling that behavior.
yeah, it's kind of so. Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, she was enabling, and here I was, trying to be a father to a young man, and he wasn't really behaving right. So we decided to go to counseling, and that's what she hated too. That we went to family counseling with him. The counselor would tell her, like, look, from what I see, Ramon is doing the right thing. You're the one that needs to stop being a friend to your son and be a mother to your son. It's a big difference. And that's what she was having issues with. When I would tell her the same thing, the problem is that you're trying to be a friend to your kid instead of being a mother. And so that's very, very different. And she would get so upset with that the actual counselor would agree with me, the way I was trying to raise him, and not the way that she was raising him. So that was tough for her.
So she didn't even listen to the counselor. She kind of thought she knew better than everybody.
Yeah, she was just, the kid, the young man was, just, he was very good at manipulating her and knowing what to say and how to feel bad and how to turn things around to make him seem like he was the victim. All people like that. There's people in this world that are very good at that. And this kid, he had already down on how to make people believe that he was the victim all the time. He would always use that where he came from and his background, and then, it was always the same thing. And I would just get, that is very old. We need to understand that, this is, don't try to play me, man. I know what you're coming from. I have been your age. You have not been my age yet, so I know what you're coming from.
Right.
So that was the problem there.
Okay, and how did things continue to go from there? Where did things really start to spiral out of control?
Yeah, at this time we started a business together. She knew my boxing background. She supported it at the time. She knew that I was always, traveling a lot with amateur boxers, around the nation sometimes when I go to tournaments. And then that I also had, local league. I had, sometimes spend a lot of time on the weekends at the local events and stuff like that. So she supported. She even went to the boxing gym with me but I always wanted to, because I had a nonprofit organization, the boxing gym, but I wanted to get another gym for business, big business. And that's where she came in and she said, "Hey man, let's go for it." So she had saved a little money, and then she had some money. Then because at the time I didn't have the money that I needed to invest in the gym. So she kind of came in and said, "Let's do it together. Invest some money, and you put together whatever you have, we'll make it happen." And that's what happened. We invested it, and I came up with Woodlands Boxing and Fitness. And man, I tell you what, in less than a year, that thing was booming. We were doing very, very well. The gym was popping, and we're doing great. We were getting the nice things and big homes and toys and all that stuff. Traveling, so life was at the time was good. With the way things were going at the time. But how money changes people. I believe that was another thing too.
Well, real quick to interject, I've been so I work as a realtor, and I've been taught that money doesn't change you, it magnifies you. It doesn't, you are who you already are. It just allows you to be a more exacerbated version or a larger version. So if you're already an asshole and you have a lot of money, you're just going to be a bigger one. If you're a good person and you get a lot of money, it'll give you the opportunity to be a better person. So, I think that's really what I've come to find to be true. Actually, it's just that maybe some people are good at hiding things, but
I believe so. I think, and she definitely was. She's the ultimate psychopath manipulator. That she knew how to hide things and knew how to turn things like things that and I believe, as in hindsight again, that's where her son got that from. He learned that from her because she was so good at manipulating and turning things around, and when she knew she was at fault, she always had an excuse. But yeah, once we, then we moved into this neighborhood, it was like upper middle class, and she started hanging around these people that were very wealthy, they did well for themselves, and she saw how they lived and how they dressed and where they went and stuff. And she wanted to live that life. I believe she wanted to live that life too. She would go to the mall and come back with bags and say, "Well, how much stuff do you need?" We bought motorcycles and bought all kinds of just.
And she kind of just spent it. She didn't care. She didn't care what you said. She just spent whatever she wanted.
Yeah, she. The bills were getting paid. Mind you that the bills were getting paid and stuff like that. But there was so much money that was just, she just, for whatever reason, thought, "Hey man, we got it, so let's spend it," And I had a little issue with that, Sunday. Then that was another problem too when we started going through the problem with the gym. When I saw how many members we had and how much, I can kind of calculate how much money should be coming in. And then when I saw the books, and I said, "Wait a second, this is not adding up." And she would always turn it around. "Hey, don't worry about it. The bills are getting paid. You're getting paid. Don't worry about it. It's getting, she said, just worry about training the people." She was more like the clerical, and she also self-trained, but she would take care of the books. And I think that was another mistake that I made But you know, when you married, you supposed to have that trust in your wife or your husband that they're doing the right thing. So I had a lot of trust in her. I gave her a lot of trust in taking care of the books for the gym and taking care of the money. And in reality, it was like, you know, she started playing games with the money. And I wasn't falling for that either. And that was another problem that we started having. You know?
Well, that's also a question, like it's a very direct question, but I have to ask. You don't feel like, in a sense, maybe you enabled that to happen, like meaning you let her off easy, where she saw that she was able to get one on you, like you gave her an inch, she took a mile, and you know, obviously, it's not on you that she acted that way, but you know, at the same time, do you feel like you let her get away with certain things?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I did. No, there's no doubt. And the thing was that we had an agreement that because I was, of course, my background is boxing, uh, and I knew everything about training people and stuff like that. And her background, you know, she was an executive secretary at the Ford factory in Mexico City, so she knew about the clerical and about, you know, kind of, I guess, a little bit about running a business, more or less. And so we had our, you know, what we can do, our best is that's what we chose. And I feel like, hey, you know how to run it. I know how to run the business as far as the boxing and the training part of it. So I can take care of that. So basically, I was outside training the people, and we were in the gym, and she was a lot in the office. But that's the agreement that we had. And yes, in hindsight, again, I should have been more careful about being more involved with the books and where the money was going and things like that. But again, when you have trust in somebody that you're married to, you know, it wasn't like she was an employee. She was not an employee. You know, we did have employees, but the thing was, you know, you're the one that's supposed to be responsible, and you know, doing this. And when I asked you questions about the money, and you always had an excuse or don't worry about it, it's all everything's doing well and money's coming in. Don't worry about it. Just she would say, just keep training people, and people are going to keep coming. Yep,
Wow.
it's tough.
Okay. Yeah, that's not easy because, like, you love the person, so you don't really want to get into arguments with them, but at the same time, you know, in your gut, they're just doing something you don't like. You know,
Yeah.
they're taking advantage, but out of love, you don't. You're just hoping either the problem goes away, or you kind of tell yourself that's not really a big deal. They're right. Okay. So now so continuing forward, when did this whole attempted murder go down?
Well, it got to the point where we just, you know, with the arguments and the issues with the kids and you know, she by then after the third year she became an American citizen. You know, we had I mean, I never forget one time she told me straight up, we had a little back and forth argument, and she said, "Look, don't worry about it. Look, I'm here legally in this country. I have all the rights that you have now." So, I mean, her attitude was completely different now. She knew that, look, nothing you can say to me, nothing you can do is going to change the fact that I'm an American citizen. I have all the rights. And I said, I mean, that kind of struck me as, you know, what's the deal with you? And I would ask her, I say, man, when we were going through issues, and I mean, I would straight up ask her, did you just get married to me? And I mean, straightforward, did you just get married to me because you want to be an American citizen? And now that you have all these, you know, beautiful things, you know, is this is what you wanted? That's all you wanted from me? And she would, and this is how she used her manipulation, how to turn things around. She would say, look at me, look how beautiful I am. Look how, you know, I can get any man I want, basically. I can get any man I want. And before you, there was a lot of men that I met before you that had a lot more money than you, that, you know, that ever lived in the woods, that they had a lot more money than you. And I could have been with them. But no, I chose you, and I love you, and I want to be with you. And this is the life that I wanted. So you see what I'm talking about? That kind of
It's
thing.
hard, you know, it's kind of like a backhanded compliment, because it's like she's complimenting you for being who you are, but she's also kind of saying, well, you're not as rich as I'd like you to be, and maybe you're not as good looking as I'd like you to be, but you're still my man. So it's like, yeah, you're all right, you're good enough for me, thank you very much. So that's like, yeah, that's extremely manipulative. And but it's hard because in the moment, you know, a lot of people, like, love is blinding. It's very tough, you know. So go on. I'm literally
no, and it is, and that was the issue, you know, that she wanted that always wanted to have the upper hand on everything, you know, and anything we did, then she always wanted the upper hand on everything, and that kind of, you know, I didn't like that, you know. So long story short, we decided, you know what, she filed for divorce. We try to go through go to counseling, marriage counseling. Obviously, it didn't work because she knew that it wasn't going to work anyway. She knew that you know, this is just something just to go through the process. But I already know what I want. And then another thing that she was doing, she was starting to talk bad about me to the members at the gym. You know, trying to ruin my name, which was I thought was, man, that's the worst thing you can do. You know, ruin my image around my boxing circle, telling stuff to people that I was an abusive father. I mean, an abusive man. I was drunk. That I was nothing like they thought of. You know, the way I was at the gym, and I took it as, man, if we have our issues, we take care of our issues at home. Don't bring that to the business. And even though none of that stuff that she claimed was nothing, none of that was true. And then she started filing false police reports on me. Her kids filed false police reports on me. Not
Wow.
one of them, not one. Every time they were investigated, not one of them was true. And but at this time, we really were going through a real difficult divorce now. We basically that my house was a big 2-story home, and she was living upstairs with her kids and her mother at the time, and I was living downstairs. Man, it was like oil and water. Basically, it was like we could not. And I was like, hey man, you're gonna have to decide what you're gonna do. This is not gonna work. But she was able to kick me out of the house, my own home. She was able to kick me out of the house and get her way. She got her way, and I said, I left the house. I said, I was, basically I took the L, and it was very, very, very difficult the way she did it and how she was able to just laugh in my face and say, yeah, I told you so. This is what I got the house, I got everything, and that's what she wanted in the divorce. She wanted the house, she wanted the cars, she wanted the business, she wanted everything. I said, okay, whatever, go ahead, do what you got to do. But now this is when it happened that this young man that I trained.
That wasn't enough for her, though. She took everything. That wasn't enough.
That's what she wanted. Well, she thought, because that's what she wanted in the divorce. That's what she wanted.
So she asked you. She initiated the divorce.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and then she wanted, and I remember telling her, look, I don't know how you guys to get divorced in Mexico, but here in the United States, we get half. It's still being everything is half. I worked very, very hard for everything I have. And how do you expect me to just walk out of this home with nothing, just take my little bag of clothes and get out of here and buy next. That's it. No. We're gonna, do this the right way. And so the divorce became very, very difficult. It was very, difficult divorce as far as, as trying to split our goods and all that stuff, and the gym and the business. And so she was having a hard time. But the thing that happened was that once I was able, once I left my house, once she kicked me out of the house, was able to get me out of the house, and I say, I stopped going to the gym, because she put a restraining order on me, because that's what she was able to get me out of the house. She claimed that I was the kids were scared of me, and then she was scared of me. That I was going to be violent against her because we were going through a divorce and all this stuff. So she claimed, and through her attorney, they were able to get me out of the house. And since she was now taking care of the business, the clientele at the gym was just went way down, way down. And things got really, really rough because, the money was not coming in and the bills were not getting paid. And it was rough. And then she said, I told her, once I leave that gym, it's going to be different because, the clientele, and that's sure enough, and she goes, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. The same thing you can do, I can do too. And she tried to hire somebody to be a trainer. And it was one of the guys that, used to be in the gym with me. One of the guys, he knew a little bit about, he didn't know much, but it didn't work out. So she was very, very, the money was running very low. So now this is where the story gets good, because this young man named Mundo. Let me tell you a little bit about Mundo. I had met Mundo back in the year 2000. I was just recently divorced from my first marriage, of the wife of my kids. And he walked into a gym that I was at, training with my nonprofit, training some kids. And he walked in and he just, befriended me, and he wanted to be a boxer. And just to train like a boxer because he didn't have the opportunity when he was young. He just wanted to lose weight and all that, So we became very close, and he became kind of like my right hand man. His background was tough. He came from a very rough side of Houston. He was an ex-gang member, had been shot up, had been, stabbed and all this stuff. Had just recently been released from prison, and he wanted to change his life around. He got him a job. He was, whatever. So he became a real good friend of mine. As far as, and I became kind of like his mentor. And he came around my kids, and he even helped me around the gym with the kids. Became a mentor to some of those kids, not to follow his footsteps. So and then after that, I moved to another side of town, and we kind of lost contact for a few years. But then he came back to the gym where I was at, the Women's Boxing Gym, and he was like, we just picked up right where we left off, And he became very close again. Came around the house and introduced him to. Then Lulu we were still doing okay, but and Lulu didn't want him around. She said that him and me.
But I lost you here. You didn't end up going through the divorce. You still were together.
No, I'm trying to go tell you a little bit about Mundo. Yeah, we were going through the divorce. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to tell you about Mundo, how he came around, how he was part of how he was kind of interjected into what happened.
Gotcha.
So he came in and he became kind of like my right-hand man again at the gym. I would let him close and open the gym, and Lulu was okay with it, even though she said this guy was an ex-gang member. She was kind of scared that he was going to, steal money from us or, all that kind of stuff. But, after that, she kind of.
It's ironic. She was scared that he would do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So she was okay after a while, after, whatever, a few years, she was okay because he used to help us a lot. So when we were going now, we're going back to the divorce. When we were going through the divorce, Mundo already knew that me and Lulu were going through a very difficult divorce. This particular evening, I was not at the gym, and Mundo was there at the gym with just working out, and there was a few people there, and he just happened to walk into a conversation that Lulu, out of all people, was having with her daughter, and her daughter was telling Lulu, like, look, there's a kid in the gym or a guy in the gym that has a family member in Mexico that kills people or chops up people for money. And Lulu goes, oh, wow, maybe we can use them,
With her daughter?
Lulu, yeah, to her daughter. This is a mother-daughter conversation.
And they're having this in your gym?
In my office in the gym.
Wouldn't she think if she's going to do something like that, she might want to be a little bit more discreet?
But it was towards the end of the evening. There wasn't that many people there, but still, that's just crazy, right? So Mundo just happened to be walking by when he overheard the conversation, and he already knew about the difficult divorce. So he kind of said, "Hey, man, you guys need to be careful what you say because you never know who's listening, man." And they were like, "Oh, they kind of just brushed it off." And later that evening, Mundo walked up to Lulu by herself when it was about to close, and he said, "Hey, the thing, the little conversation you guys were having in the office, was that about Ramon?" And Lulu said, "Yeah, man, I can't stand him anymore, man. I wish it would just take him away. I wish he would just leave. I can't stand him. I wish, they would just," and he wanted to go, "Wait, me go take him away like this, like he did the pistol sign." And he said, "Yeah, we said we just take him away." And this is why Mundo, the reason that I'm sitting here talking.
Why would she tell him that if she knows that you guys have a good relationship?
I think that this is where it gets kind of weird because she already knew that me and Mundo were kind of tight. We're tight, but she was kind of, she knew Mundo had for a couple of years now. She trusted in him too, but she was so desperate. Let me tell you, she was so desperate for money, and the divorce was not going her way. Me kicking him out of the house, and well, at the time I wasn't kicked out of the house yet, but anything that you can do to help me, I would take it. And this is when Mundo said, "Are you talking about taking him away like this, like kill him?" And she goes, "Yeah, take him away." And this is when Mundo made the decision that the reason that I'm alive right now. He told us straight up, "Hey, man,
saves your life, man."
Hey, he said, "I take care of it. I got people that can do the job for you." And he said that her eyes lit up, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do it. If you can, the Mundo goes, okay, I'll tell you what, let's talk to him. Let's talk about this somewhere else later. Tomorrow we can talk and see what happens. See if let me talk. We can talk." And that's when the next day Mundo calls me. And I remember I was driving. Mundo calls me and tells me, hey, man. And, you know, Mundo we used to joke around, you know, back and forth and stuff like that. I thought he was joking when he said, hey, this Lulu, you know, this lady wants to kill you. You know, you're talking about Lulu. This lady wants to kill you, Pops. You know, he called me Pops. And I said, Mundo, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, man, she wants to kill you. He said, hey, I said, Mundo, quit joking around, man. This is not a joke. You know, we playing around like that, kind of things you don't say. He was like, man, I talked to her last night, and she told me this is what she wants to do. And I tell you, bro, when I pulled over on the side of the road, I was so pissed. I was, you know, I had so much anger. You know, there's so many emotions going through me. And knowing then after that I had to go home and see this lady.
Oh my God! Yeah, you met. By the way, I heard all of this in the documentary, but I'm obviously many people might not have. And when you said this in the documentary, I couldn't mentally grasp that. Like, you heard that your wife wants to kill you, and now you have to go home and act like you had no idea. That's
exactly. Even though we were living together but separately,
and
I had to go home and see this lady and act as normal as possible. And man, I was so freaking upset, man. I was like, you know, should I go to the police? Should I, you know? And that's when Mundo said, you know, tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to her and see how far she's willing to go with this. And so let me see, you know, see if she was just, you know, for real wanted to go through with this. You know, basically sleeping one eye open. I would lock the door in my room.
Why did you go home though? That's really the question. If you have there's any chance she's serious, right? And in this case, she was dead serious, pun intended. Mm-hmm. But if she was partially serious, even like, you didn't think like maybe you shouldn't have stayed there because she could have tried to do it in her own house?
I thought about it, but see, what I did was I spent the night at home and whatever. And the next day, I actually called the police and I talked to the sheriff department about it. And they told me straight up and said, look, you know, people because they told me we were going through a difficult divorce. And he said, well, people, when they're going through this kind of, you know, divorces and stuff, sometimes say crazy things, you know, sometimes they don't mean it, but there's not enough evidence. You know, it's basically, you know, word of mouth. So there's not really much we can do. And I told him what my friend was planning on doing. So he said, well, tell you what, you know, that's nothing illegal that he's doing. But if you get enough evidence and then, you know, and whatever she says you have, you know, we'll definitely interject and come in and take care of it. But that was why I feel like, wait a second, I'm telling you that this lady wants to kill me, but there's not enough evidence. So what does she have to do? Kill me? Whatever, you know?
Yeah, like what is it gonna take, you know?
Yeah, there's not enough. You know, just the word of mouth. They were like, yeah, basically that's you know, she can just say that she was upset.
Well, yeah, from a legal standpoint, they need some kind of proof of that, meaning like either something in writing, something recorded.
Yeah, there was nothing like that. And that's when Mundo and her started having conversations. And Mundo would record everything she was saying.
How did he record it? He had a wire. He had his phone.
Yeah, he had his little cell phone. He would do everything on his cell phone, and then it was crazy. Then I would meet with him after they talked. I would meet with him either the same night or the next day. And when I tell you that I listened to the conversations that they were having and how she felt, man, I'm telling you, man, it still freaking bothers me how this lady, how bad she wanted me to be taken out. You know, how I was living and thinking, how can somebody live like this knowing that this is what, you know, in my heart, I want to kill this man. Like, I want him dead.
It's heartbreaking, man, because you had such good intentions to marry her and love her and care for her. And this whole time, it just seemed like all she wanted was citizenship and money, and just to get and ultimately to get rid of you. It's like, it's a heart-wrenching thing I can't even imagine.
Exactly.
So yeah, continue on.
Yeah. So and so they kept having all these conversations, and so they were going on this back and forth, you know, conversation. Mundo was recording and everything. So we're trying to get enough. Basically, me and Mundo were doing our own undercover investigation. And Mundo said, "This is what we're going to do now. You know, I'm going to sit. I'm going to get ready to ask her for the money. And once you give us the money, man, to buy a gun, we're going to take it to the police, man. That's it." And that's what she did. You know, she was. This is crazy, man. Mundo's idea was like, look, this is what we're going to get a burner phone. and I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to sit there. I'm going to text back and forth with you in front of her, so she thinks that that I'm talking to the hitman. But the whole time they were texting back and forth, they were texting me. I was playing my own hitman. So, and he taught me how to, text slang and, whatever, say all the things that wanted me to say. And then, he told her, look, I need $200 to buy the little toy. The little toy was the gun that they were going to. I actually was telling him I need the money to buy the toy. And then once, she said that, gave him the money. She gave Mundo the money. It's a wrap, and we're going to the police now. And we went to the police, and that's when they took over. At the beginning, they were kind of like, "What is it? What's going on here?" And they were kind of like, this lady knows Mundo, and you know Mundo, and then what's going on here? How can she have so much trust in him?
She made it very messy. She obviously she did not do this properly. Not to say that I know how to do that properly, but she clearly did that very stupidly.
She was so desperate and wanted me dead that she was willing to go, do whatever it took to get me out of the way, because it was going to be her way, and she wanted everything. And then another thing that she looked up how much money I had in my, what I was, my insurance, my life insurance, and all that stuff, and my savings. I mean, she knew how much money I was worth dead.
Wow.
And then she already had it all planned out. Do you mind
sharing about how much that was?
It was a couple of million. It's not a lot to be, but millions. It's
not a lot. It's for people, it's a life-changing amount of money.
And then the money that was coming in from the gym, the gym, I sold the gym for very, very good, after I had it. The gym was doing very well, and all that money, that's plus that money. So she was gonna do well. She knew exactly. And then she had a problem with it. She was telling Mundo, look, you guys need to hurry up and get this done, because there was a date that the divorce was going to get finalized. And she told Mundo, if he doesn't die by this date, his kids are going to get half of everything. But if he dies and we're still married, I get everything. So she wanted it done quick. And that's when the police came in, and, once they got in and they brought all the different agencies and brought in their own hitman, they knew that they had to do this fast, because, they knew that, hey man, she was very desperate. And it's crazy how they brought this hitman, but he was an undercover hitman, and started meeting with her undercover, and they recorded everything, all the conversations, and she was willing to go for it. And and when he told her the price, I think it was like $14,000 or something like that.
You said 14,000?
14,000 for my death.
That's all they charge to take someone's life?
That's because Mundo said that, the guys, but that's how much I was for me. Because the way that Mundo brought it, explained it to her, like, usually these hitmen, they usually charge a lot more, because it's me. They're just going to charge, each one is going to charge you $7,000 or $6,000 a piece of it. But that's it, because he knew them, he told her.
You said each one, there was going to be two of them?
Yeah, there was two guys. He told her it was going to be Paco and John Boy. So when the police brought their own hitman, they gave him one of the names. They gave him the name John Boy. And that's what she thought she was talking about. So, talking the whole time was John Boy. And he told her, look, she said, well, in one of the meetings that they had, he gave her the amount, and she said, well, I don't have all that money right now, but what I can do is, is give you $2,000 up front.
Pues, de guapa.
Tengo mil.
And then when he dies, and some other stuff, and the other stuff was, what he brought her, or she brought him my wedding bands, my jewelry, some watches, my own stuff.
And you mentioned in the documentary that she used your own stuff to kill you.
Yeah, my own jewelry to pay as a down payment to have me killed plus some cash. And then she had the nerve to tell this guy, and look, wherever, he drives, I have this pickup. When he dies, you take the pickup. And when also, he always likes to wear this really nice watch. When you keep the watch too, that's, but when after he dies, I can give you the rest of the money when I get paid from his life insurance and everything else. And he said, okay, that was the plan. I mean, she was happy. They were super happy. She was like, this is it right here. It's done deal. That was, and they had it all a video and recorded. So this is where the picture comes in, that famous picture that's been around the world, man, with the bullet hit, the hit on the head. This is where the police, brought me in, and by myself, they would usually talk to me and Mundo at the same time, but this time they brought me in and told me, hey, we have enough evidence to arrest Lulu, but we just want to do one more thing, because we don't want to go to a jury trial in case we go to a jury trial and have one of the jurors feel sorry for her because she's, beautiful lady, has a mother or two, has never been in trouble, and she's known in the community. We don't want to take a chance on one feeling sorry for her. So what we're going to do is take a picture of you dead and show it to her, and her reaction, show it to the jury. And this needs to be a slam dunk case. And I said, repeat that again. You're gonna do what? And then sure enough, that's where that picture comes in. They put that makeup on me, took me to a place. As a matter of fact, it wasn't that far from my gym, in the middle of this dump yard, and they were in the woods, and I had no idea that place even existed back there. And they had already dug up a shallow grave, and man, it was like a movie scene. That thing looked like a movie scene.
What did you think when you were surrounded, when there were cops around you, and you see that shallow dug grave? What were you thinking during that whole period? What was your actual thought? Like, you're about to fake your death. What were you thinking?
I jumped in the, I was fully dressed when and I got in there, and I just looked around, and I was thinking to myself, this is what it has come down to, for me. So this lady, can get arrested, or for my marriage to end like this, I have to fake my death, and that's what the terminology comes out, or that I use in my book, that I walked on my own grave, because I literally was walking in my grave, and that's when they can say, okay, Mr. Sosa, you're gonna get down to your briefs, and we're gonna put a little more makeup on you, and they showed me how to pose. And that was it. I closed my eyes, and all I could hear was the clicking of the 35 millimeter going around me. And he showed me the picture, and they said, wow, man, this is crazy, man. And that's what they did. And the way they arrested her, the day before, they went to my gym, and they had been following her the whole day. They knew exactly her whole schedule. Mm-hmm. And so they went to my gym, and they did like a missing person report. And she acted like, I don't know if you saw this, but she acted like real. She was worried about me, and she had called my sister. And what's crazy is that she was already, she knew what she had done the night before, when she was, with this guy in the undercover cop. When they showed her my picture, but when they went in, and arrested her, she was all worried about me.
So he hasn't contacted you in the last 24 hours? No. Okay, Miss Sosa, stand up, please. You're under arrest. Okay, you're under arrest.
Why?
Okay, ma'am, it's okay. Stay back. We have a warrant.
And she had been calling my sisters and some of my friends and stuff, asking about me. So she was already setting up her case, like using alibis. Like, oh yeah, I was worried about him too. I tried to call his sister, I called his friends. Nobody knew where he was at. But the cops already knew that she was just playing a game. She was just playing a game, and here she was all worried about me. But the night before, when they showed her the picture of me dead, she's happy, raising her hands up in the air like she hit the lotto, asking the police officer, or she thought it was a hitman. He's not waking up, right? He's not. He's dead. He's gone.
No se levanta ya.
You know, at least they gave me a little dignity. They told her that I fought, that I beat up one of the guys and everything. But he said, buddy, we finally put him down. You know, that was, yeah. That's her right there. But then when they arrested her, and then they arrested her in front of her mother and in front of her daughter. They took her out in handcuffs out of my gym. You know, so, and then that's when she starts yelling to her mother, you know, call my attorney. The mother, you know, I don't know if the mother and the daughter, they knew anything about what's going on. I don't think so. But
well, the daughter did.
Yeah, the daughter, some kind of way, you know, she was involved, but she was still a minor. So, you know, I even asked the police, you know, what's going to happen. I told her what had happened with the conversation. They already knew, but they said she's a minor. She don't think they investigated her at all. You know.
Wow.
It's wild, man, how, you know, this person that's supposedly we were so in love, and we're supposed to spend the rest of our life together. And here she was, you know, now trying to kill me. And when I never forget when I used to ask her about, you know, are you really in love with me, or are you in love because you wanted materialistic things and you wanted the life of being, I guess, living like this with all these nice things around you all the time, you know, and then your green card. But she always turned it around on me. She was going around with the, you know, look at me. You look at me. She was that thing. Look at my body. Look how I look. I can get any of this. You know. So
it's horrible. Okay, so now that, and also she ended up taking a plea deal and went to prison for 20 years instead of life, right?
Oh yeah, she was during the whole time she was arrested or in the county jail here. She was in the county jail for about 15 months. And I was able to, well, you know, to go to the hearings. In one particular hearing when she was sentenced, because the DA kept telling me, look, man, she goes to trial, man, in Texas, she's probably gonna get a life in prison for what she did. It's just a very difficult state when you do that kind of things, man. Lived in a county where they said, you know, she probably gonna get life if she goes to trial. So she ended up, after 15 months, her attorneys, they just agreed that, you know, to plea bargain, or they got 20 sent to a second degree solicitation of capital murder instead of a first degree, and to 20 years. So she got locked up for, this is fifth or sixth year now, in the state penitentiary.
How old was she when she went to prison?
I believe she was around 42.
So she's not getting out till she's in her 60s.
Yeah, probably she does it 20 more. You know, more like she probably get out maybe, and I don't know, because of good, you know, here it's a good time, and man, it's a trip. Look, check this out. When I was, you know, she had been locked up and already been back to my house and everything. I get this message on Facebook from this cellmate that she was locked up with in the county. And I said, what the heck? She looked me up for it. She looked me up, she told me her whole story, why she was locked up, whatever. And then she said that she was locked up in the same cell with with Lulu. And she said that she would always ask, and people would ask her, like, why are we locked up for it? And she would never tell anybody. But she noticed how she became real fast. She became a trustee. And they were like, how the hell she just got here? And all of a sudden she's a trustee. But because she was a good manipulator, she already was manipulating. I say that's how she was. She was even in jail. She was already manipulating the guards and whoever else she could in there. But she would never tell them what she did out here, what she was locked up for. And then when the lady read the story, I said, oh, now I understand how she was, with us and everybody else in there, because she was, man, I can't believe she did that to you. So I was like, man, but going back to the hearing when she was sentenced.
What was it like seeing her in court, man? You guys make eye contact?
Man, it was crazy, because the first time I went when she was sentenced, I saw her come out. This is a lady that loved to dress well, loved, from shoes and, clothes and jewelry and hair, everything was always intact with her. And when they brought her in, in those $2 state shoes and in the jumpsuit with the stripes and chains on her hands and her ankles. Man, I still remember that sound that came. And she never looked at me once. She just walked in between the seats, and I was like, wow, man. But she ended up, how this lady has ended up, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is crazy how life, is. She went from wearing $400 shoes to $2 shoes, and that's what you get, But when she got sentenced, man, there was so much anger inside of me. I mean, I would sleep in my house and literally I slept with the loaded shotgun next to my bed. I had a loaded 40 millimeter in my kitchen.
I imagine even after that, you were still worried that anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready for retaliation at any time.
Do you still ever think about it, or you feel like at this point you're safe?
What I did? What I did was at the sentencing, I forgave her.
Wow.
It's hard to believe, right?
You said that verbally. You got up and you spoke.
I stood up there. The DA said that I could speak, and they gave you these parameters where you can and cannot say whatever. And there was a packed. The courthouse was packed.
I imagine.
Media. Yeah, it was packed with media and all that stuff. That my story had been carried over. And when I stood up there and I forgave her, it was because in my heart I had to release that anger, bro. So it was like I was like a bubble ready to burst at any time, and I would hate, when they talk about road rage, when they talk about just anything, that was like a ticking bomb walking around. I hated her mother, her kids, and I would just like, man, I can't even. If I find one of these kids in the streets, I mean, I did that. All the crazy things came through my mind because I was so upset. And once I told her that I would forgive her because of what she did, I will never forget. And we're not perfect, and it was like all that anger was just released, and my heart was just like, oh, now I can calm down, and I forgave her, but I will never forget what she did, and I can move on with my life. I live it in God's hands. Retaliation still stays in the back of my mind. The DA tells me that he doesn't think that she would do any kind of crazy thing, like that again, because she would really be going back to prison forever. I don't think she would want to do that. If she pays somebody else, I mean, it is what it is, how it could happen. But I still protect myself, and I have a lot of people that look after me, and also the police department. I can call them, and they tell me the same thing. Anything funny you feel, anything suspicious, just give us a call. We'll investigate whatever. And now all of a sudden, like just like everybody else, she's turned into religion, and in lockdown. All she does is read about the Bible and read, biblical stuff, and all of a sudden she's very religious. That's what the DA tells me. That's all,
I wouldn't buy any of that nonsense.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I don't buy it either.
Probably just trying to get out in good behavior,
Yeah, exactly what it is,
Yeah.
But she's been up for parole a couple of years or 3 years now, and I have been having to write a letter and then talk to the warden and all that stuff. But nah, man, I have to move on. Life has. I have my 3 kids, my mother, father. I've started dating, met this wonderful person that.
So I was about to ask that. I can't help but ask, because you let it go, because you mentally forgave her and you allowed that burden to be released from you. How is it to now date other women? How do you go on with trusting so much and being, taken advantage of to the point where someone tried to kill you? How do you feel now? Like, how do you go into new relationships now?
It was weird, man. At the beginning, I would talk to ladies and stuff like that, and I don't know how the heck, people, ladies on social media would hit me up, and because they would see me on the shows and whatever, and they would just, man, I mean, to the point where they would see me in the street, or like I said, I remember in a particular restaurant in Houston, and they recognized me. And these ladies, like a little group of ladies, they went over to me and started hugging me, and they said, "Man, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. And if you want to hang out with some people, just hang out with us." And they bought me drinks and stuff, and they were like super. And everywhere, like all these ladies just started gravitating toward me because of what happened to me.
Yeah, they
social
feel like they
media.
want to prove I think maybe they just want to show that there's a lot of good ones, like
Exactly what they
they
say.
want
They
to
say
show you
not
like
only
don't give up
exactly,
on
yeah,
dating on love again. Like there's good,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah, but I dated and hang out with them and stuff like that, and but this, I finally I settled down with somebody. She knew my story, and
It's great,
she
man.
came to my state, and we do very well, man. And she's a wonderful person, and she knows everything that happened, and man, she's just like, wow, I just can't believe somebody would be that hateful to somebody, you know. But yeah, trust was very difficult, very very difficult. Even trusting people, people around me, and I would always, you have to walk all the time with looking behind your back, and it was, it's difficult. It was difficult, but I've learned that I leave it in God's hands, and I'm not going to be here forever. None of us are going to be here forever, but
Right.
to be taken out for what I was going to be a horrific, thing, it was nah. Uh, but what I have done now is change my life around where I can talk about it. And I was able to publish 2 books, one in Spanish, one in English, about what happened to me. I walked in my own grave. They're doing very well. Doing my interviews all over the world and I also do public speaking about this situation.
You think
And
they'll
one
ever make a
thing,
movie out of it?
I've been approached. Yeah, I've been approached. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been approached. We're kind of working on some stuff right now. And if it
That
does,
would be
man,
a movie. That would be a movie
oh
people
yeah,
would
oh yeah,
watch.
yeah. It's. I think it's gonna happen in the future. It's just that right now we're in the preliminary, of all that stuff. So we see what happens. We'll see. And when you see it, man, you're gonna be like, wow, I remember talking to this guy.
Unbelievable.
But
I mean, if you want it, if you need any extras,
there you go. Yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. But like I said, what I'm doing now is when I do my speeches is talk about domestic abuse against men. Uh, because this thing turned things around on me, saying that I was the one that was abusive to her, that I was abusive to her kids, that I was just a horrific person. When in reality, it was the other way around. She was the one that was physically, mentally, and even financially abusive to me, you know? And when I tell you physically, it wasn't like it happened one time, but one time is too many.
I
And
agree.
she caught me by surprise. And what she was looking for was for me to retaliate.
A reaction, so she can claim that you did it. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what she was looking for. And let me tell you, it takes a lot of a man not to retaliate after she caught me by surprise. And then how she reacted and all this stuff. And she was good. She was good. And I mean, and here I am. I mean, an ex-professional boxer, I teach people how to fight for a living.
That's also, I think, why she also had that leverage, because as a boxer, right, you're in a violent sport. It's more believable for someone to take her side because, oh, he's a boxer, so maybe because he's a boxer.
And don't and look, when I tell you that she called the police and her son's gonna call the police and tell them that's the first thing we mentioned to them. Oh, he's a professional boxer. He's right here. He's in rage right now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Just to get the police to the house. That's the kind of things that they would do. That's kind of false police reports that they would do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but going back to the domestic abuse against men, it happens a lot more than what most people think. It happens a lot more. Like when I do the speeches and they're man there, they have, I did a speech in London, and man, when I tell you the guys over there, they came up to me after the speech and they were like in tears. There was one that was in tears because he said, man, it happens to me. And men, a lot of men stay in this type of relationship for the same reason that women do. They still either love, they have kids together, financially might be beneficial, for all the same reasons. A lot of men stay in these type of relationships. But when a man comes out and talks about it, he's seen, this stigma about, you're a punk, why you let a lady treat you like this? A lot of they don't believe in you, I've heard from men that told me, man, they call they called for actually 911, and they laughed in their face. Like, what? You need you? Yeah. And it happens. It doesn't happen probably as much as it happens to women, but they should not be a monopoly. It should be treated the same way. The same way. You know, if a man's looking for a shelter, like there's some shelters for women, a man can't just call and find a shelter for, you know, for that type of thing, for domestic abuse. They don't have them. I think there's 2 in the whole nation.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's what I talk about now. You know, and it's not nothing against the women. You know, like I tell people, I have a mother, I have sisters, I have daughter, and you know, there's nothing against the women. But when it happens to a man, it should be treated the same way it's treated with women, and believed the same way women are believed. You know, because that's the thing. Like you said earlier, if she would have, you know, punched me and I would have punched her back, and we both were bruised, who do you think they would have believed? Of course. That I mean, there's no question. It's like, wait a second, you're both bruised, and she's saying she hit you, or you hit her, whatever. Oh no, it's always, you know, that's the way it goes.
Yeah,
and that's not cool. That's not right. And you know, we have to, and that's what I want men to learn from my story too. That I talk about, that it's not just it doesn't make you a punk. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't, you know, you have to be aware that you have the same rights, and when you go to the police or whoever you go to, they need to believe you and say, look, man, this is really happening. And if you love this woman, you go to counseling, you want to go through things, but if you don't, just, hey man, go your ways, part your ways, and you know, if you have kids together, it's better for the kids to get separated. But to be in that situation where you know, getting abused mentally, physically, and financially, it's another one too that people don't talk about. But when she was doing, that's exactly what she was doing. You know, she was taking me, you know, basically that's a form of abuse. Like, how you gonna take all this money and and they lie to my face, basically, you know, manipulate me, tell me all these things that you know that you're doing wrong. But it's
so crazy, dude. So unbelievably crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. Well, Ramon, this has been it's an eye-opening episode. By the way, I've been waiting to record this with you for weeks. So as soon as I said, yeah, and I'm so thankful that you responded and agreed to come on and take the time. You know, I know you've gotten thousands. You said you've gotten, you know,
Yeah,
a few weeks. You said you had like 54,000, and then you said 70, and now I'm sure it's like 100,000.
Oh yeah, it has gone crazy. We just it's interesting that how my story, like I said, to this day is still relevant. But every time I do an interview or talk to anybody, I always talk about the same thing. But it's what happened to me was bad, but there's something good that came out of it.
I mean,
that's what I want people to learn.
She tried to sabotage you. She tried to get rid of you, and in return, God gave you all of this, and now you deserve it. You deserve every minute of it. I hope this brings you lots of success. I hope you have a long and lasting, you know, permanent relationship with the woman you're with. I hope both of you treat each other beautifully, and, you know, wish you the best, man. You deserve that. So again, thanks for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm sure, you know, this, I've been looking to see if there were other have you done any other podcasts yet?
Oh yeah, I've done a few. I've done a few. I've done a few.
I haven't really seen any on YouTube. I don't know if they're on there, but
yeah, I think it's, I don't know. But they're all, I think if you go to podcasts and you put my name, there's a few that I've done.
Okay, awesome.
But this is great, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. I hope you get a good viewership or listening.
I hope so. Yeah, if you don't mind sharing it around, that would be awesome. Yeah, this is, you know, the Vice gave a very brief overview. You know, it was only 8 minutes, so this kind of allowed you to really elaborate on everything and give the really deep part of the story. So thanks again, and hopefully, if you don't mind, if you can send me a bunch of that footage that like Vice used. I can't take it from Vice because they have, you know, their logos on everything, but just to really give people, you know, when you have a story, because you've been telling your story, if people can actually have those videos to reference. Do you have any court videos? Do you have any videos from the hearing?
I can send you some stuff, you know.
Yeah, like the more the merrier, so I can put them in and really give people a visual about what happened. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the wildest stories I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, people who've been seeing me posted on my stories, stay tuned, because I've been taking screenshots and posting like 9.5 million views in 2 weeks. And people are like, what is this? And people are asking me how I even got in contact with you. And I said, listen, I just reached out, And
you know what, I'm gonna tell you straight up, Rafi, I really don't answer a lot. I don't answer a lot because it gets some money, but I read up a little bit about you and I was like, man, it's a cool guy, I don't mind doing your podcast. I get asked a lot for podcasts and other stuff. I don't have an agent or anything like that, so I did at one time had somebody that tell me get all this stuff in line, line up all the interviews and all that stuff. But we don't have that relationship anymore, so I just do everything on my own. And I tell people, look, if you want to contact me, you do it through social media or email and stuff like that. I tell them. But yeah, we're working on a couple of I think a documentary. It's another documentary that I'm working on right now that is coming out. So
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be some good stuff coming out. And of course, I'm always pushing my books. I Walk to My Own Grave, and in Spanish too, it came out. So it's doing well. And this message, people that read my book, they say the same thing all the time. It's like, wow, man, this is jaw dropping. This one lady told me, look, I didn't know that I had to read your book with a box of Kleenex next to me. So you brought me down to tears.
Yeah, man. It's a very emotional edge of your seat kind of story. It's just you should, man, you can sell this book in every language in the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would be shocked if this wasn't an international bestseller. You put out enough languages, there's no question people will read this book.
Yeah, I get a lot of people from Philippines, Kenya, from Europe. They've hit me up. I did a Japan. I did a little thing in Japan, and they were like, "Wow!" I didn't know.
I mean, you have millions and millions and millions of people who've watched and know about you. I mean, it's an amazing story. So yeah, Ramon, thanks again. Thanks so much. I look forward to having this out. This episode will be out next week, Sunday. Okay. So at 9 a.m. Eastern. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you enjoyed this episode immensely, and I hope you learned from it. I hope it helps to make you a better person. And hopefully, Ramon, I look forward to hopefully meeting you in person someday. I'm based in Miami. I grew up in Brooklyn.
I used to live in Brooklyn.
Oh, really? Yeah, you said that. Yeah. So yeah, you mentioned that. So if you're, we have each other's contact. I definitely, I really look forward to sometime being able to actually connect and, either grab a drink, grab something to eat and just really.
Oh, definitely, man. Cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So everybody make sure to stay tuned. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment, leave a bunch of comments. Feel free to ask any questions, and hopefully Ramon and I will get back to you. Until next time.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you, man. Bye.